You've probably spent way too much time scrolling forums, watching best gaming PC videos, and worrying that the next build you splurge on will sit gathering dust because it doesn't fit your playstyle. The fear of dropping a few $1,000s on a machine that either underdelivers on the newest titles or ends up being overkill for the games you actually play is real, and it's why you're watching this. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down the Andromeda Insights Galaxy V3 and see if it actually solves that dilemma. At first glance, the headline specs look like a billboard. An AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D, a brand new RX 9070 XT with 16 GB of GDDR6, 32 GB of DDR56000 memory, a 2 TB Gen 4 SSD, and an 850W Gold PSU, all tucked into a case with ARGB fans and Wi-Fi plus Bluetooth. Those numbers alone can make anyone feel a little giddy, but the real question is how they translate to everyday gaming, content creation, and future-proofing. First, who is this rig really built for? If you're someone who plays AAA titles at 1440p or 4K and wants to hit 60+ frames without constantly tweaking settings, the Galaxy V3 is a solid match. The Ryzen 7 9800X3D, with its 3DV cache technology, shines in games that are CPU-bound. Think strategy games like Civilization VI or massive open-world titles like Cyberpunk 2077. Pair that with the RX 9070 XT, and you'll see stable 1080p ultra-high settings and respectable 1440p performance in most modern releases. For streamers, the 32GB DDR5 memory gives you enough headroom to run OBS, a game, and a few background apps without the usual hitch that smaller builds suffer from. Now, who should walk away? If you're a competitive esports player who lives at 1080p 240Hz and relies on ultra-low latency, you might still be better off with a higher-tier NVIDIA card that benefits from DLSS and has a more mature driver ecosystem for certain titles. Likewise, if your primary use is indie games, retro titles, or you're happy playing at 1080p medium settings, you could get the same experience for less with a mid-range build. And if you're chasing 8K gaming or want the absolute top-end ray tracing performance, the 9070 XT, while impressive, won't match the raw power of an RTX 4090 class GPU. Let's talk about the practical strengths that matter once the box is opened. The 2 TB Gen 4 SSD is a real-time saver. Loading into worlds like Elden Ring or the latest Bethesda releases feels almost instantaneous, and you won't need a secondary drive for your library if you're okay with a curated selection. The 850W Gold PSU isn't just about headroom. It means the system runs cooler and quieter under load, which you'll notice during long raid sessions or marathon streaming days. The inclusion of Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2 also means you won't have to hunt for a dongle to connect your peripherals, a small convenience that adds up. On the flip side, there are a few hidden trade-offs you should be aware of. The ARGB fans are visually appealing, but the case's airflow design isn't as aggressive as some higher flow towers. In practice, this translates to slightly higher temperatures under sustained 100% GPU load. You'll see the GPU hovering in the high 70 SC range rather than the low 70 S you might expect from a more open case. It's not a deal breaker, but if you plan to push the machine to its limits for extended periods, consider adding an extra intake fan. Another nuance is the B850 motherboard. It's a solid platform, but it lacks the extra PCIe 5.0 slots that future-proofing enthusiasts look for. If you think you'll be adding a dedicated capture card or a second GPU down the road, you might hit a limitation sooner than you'd like. One of the biggest value points here is the warranty package. Andromeda Insights offers a 2-year parts warranty plus a lifetime labor warranty for US-based customers. That means if anything goes wrong, you won't be stuck navigating third-party repair services or spending hours on forum troubleshooting. For many buyers, especially those who aren't comfortable opening the case themselves, that peace of mind adds a tangible dollar value that's often overlooked in spec sheets. Real-world usage stories help illustrate where this machine lands. I've seen a friend who runs a part-time Twitch channel using the Galaxy V3 to stream at 1080p 60 frames per second while playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on max settings. He reported no frame drops, and his audience noticed a smoother experience compared to his old build with an older Ryzen 5. Another user, a college student juggling coursework and gaming, appreciated the 32 gigabytes of RAM because it let him keep Chrome with dozens of tabs, Photoshop, and a game running simultaneously without the dreaded slowdowns. Those scenarios are exactly where the blend of CPU cache, memory speed, and storage bandwidth shines. Conversely, a small but noticeable downside surfaced for a couple of owners who tried to overclock the 9800X3D beyond the advertised boost. The CPU's boost algorithm is already aggressive, and pushing it further yielded diminishing returns while increasing power draw and heat. In short, the chip is tuned to perform best at stock settings, so you won't gain much by fiddling.